All right, guys, we're here with Trenton, the founder of Tribe and Unfounded. Tribe is a network for entrepreneurs, and Unfounded is an investment firm investing in small businesses, specifically agencies. So, really excited to talk with Trenton around his personal experience as an entrepreneur, why he started Tribe, and building that tribe is so important for entrepreneurs, and the type of companies he's investing in with Unfounded. So, Trenton, super excited to have you on today. How's your week been so far?
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me here. Good-ish, good-ish. We're we got a lot going on with these businesses, so always busy and yeah, always needing to potentially hire more people, but it's a good problem to have.
Yeah, definitely. Well, let's start at the top, man. Give us a little intro on you and your background, and then definitely want to dive into both these businesses because they're both super interesting. But yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Yeah, I have been an entrepreneur for about 8 years. Started in tech, pivoted into entrepreneurship, became a co-founder of a company called Helpware, which had some tech plays associated with it, but really we were a customer service staffing agency, if you will. And this is pre everyone on Twitter having one of these. So we were doing it a while ago, and back then there weren't all these small competitors. There was just really big players in the space, and that company grew quite a bit. So we built that up until it hit about 2,000 employees. That company ended up selling as well. And then, yeah, I exited, took a year off, invested in a bunch of stuff, had a midlife crisis, and then started another agency in the sports and influencer world. So we represented like NFL athletes and influencers and built that up. It's a much smaller company. That was probably about $10 million a year in revenue, 40 employees or so. So a lot smaller, but it was still a fun thing to build up, and it grew fast, and exited that one about a year and a half ago. And so now we have Unfounded Ventures, where we invest in other agencies and SMBs interested in this whole SMB space. And then, yeah, we started Tribe under the portfolio as well for entrepreneurs who are struggling. As a founder myself, I struggled hard. And so wanted to build something that would have been for myself back then. It's been cool. It's been cool to grow it and do that. But yeah.
Yeah, two great wins. It sounds like under your belt in two relatively disparate industries.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about before we dive into what you're doing now? Like, what are some of your learnings from starting and exiting two businesses? I mean, most people would be lucky to start and exit one business in their lifetime. You don't. You seem about my age, maybe early 30s. So, like, yeah, what are some learnings or some insights from getting two W's like that at your age?
Yeah, and truthfully, before that, I started a clothing company in college that is no longer around. So I had a failure too. It made some money, but that one's not around. But no, I appreciate it, and they are different because I was under non-compete under the first one, under that exit, so I couldn't start something in the same industry, and truthfully, I didn't even have a desire to do it. But I mean, the biggest learnings for me are about, I think a lot of founders try to do everything themselves, and I was very much that. We're like control freaks, and we just want to make as much money as possible. As soon as you can stop being the best operator and start being the best trainer possible, like give up all your trade secrets, which is really hard to do. That's when the companies can really take off and scale. And it wasn't until we did that they really did. We basically got out of our own way. It's just hard because you have to give up salary in order to do it. You have to like trust that they're not going to go steal your secrets of how you do things. But at the end of the day, like usually people can't replicate it as well as you can anyway. So those are the biggest learnings. Having a big vision is big. Culture of the company is massive, especially on an employee based company. Like you can win really well if you treat people well, and like if people are having fun, and then outside people perceive you guys as having fun, like it plays way better into a marketing perspective as well. So we've figured out like how to market based on culture, and I think that that's underutilized for most. But I don't know, like most of the stuff that we learned was definitely in hindsight of like what didn't work, and then we figure out how to make it better. I feel like that's what most people do, at least.
Yeah. Yeah, and so for what you're working on now, two different businesses, I want to dive deep into both of them because I think they're different and interesting in their own way. Tribe, I do think loneliness is real as an entrepreneur. I know I can speak for myself. 99. I'm actually fortunate in that my siblings are all entrepreneurs.
Mm,
I think that's kind of rare, but
yeah.
so in a certain sense, I've been I've been looking at it. My dad was an entrepreneur. I've been seeing that my
Mm,
whole life. But
that's
from a
cool.
friend's perspective, most of my friends are finance, tech, legal, traditional career paths, doing well for sure, but through traditional channels there. So what were you feeling as a founder throughout the past, 10 or so years that led you to want to start Tribe?
Um, yeah, I mean, for sure was feeling pressure. I think, especially when you start having a team, and as kind of a young founder, especially with helpware, and a lot of the employees we'd hire were older than me. It was just weird. I felt like I had to be something that maybe I wasn't. I had to be more confident than I was. I had to portray like I knew what I was doing, even though I had no clue most of the time. like, and it was just a lot of pressure to kind of like internalize. My family, meanwhile, at the beginning, they can say now they were supportive, but they weren't. They were definitely trying to get me to go get jobs. It wasn't until we like started doing some crazy numbers, or got featured on some different like editorials, that they're like, "Oh, I told you you could do it. You guys, you're like crushing it." But yeah, I just didn't have that network, and so I bottled everything up. And truthfully, I got in a pretty dark place where I didn't want to wake up in the morning. I just wanted to like not go to work. I would roll out of bed and like immediately, like at 6 a.m. because we were international, I'd like have to get at it. I'd be working till midnight. The only thing that was like relieving me were like these walks and showers, and just kept it all inside. It was tough. Luckily, like I would say luckily, like I ended up in the hospital twice, almost died, and then was able to like really reset. One of them was I was out in Kiev, Ukraine, had our office out there. We had an office that we were building, and we had hundreds of employees out there. And I got an appendicitis, was one of those, and didn't know what it was. So I went 4 or 5 days, uh, just like thinking it was a horrible stomach flu. And then luckily at like 4 a.m., I was calling my co-founder to come pick me up because I was like, something's about to happen. I'm about to die, or something is bad here. And he came and got me at like 4 a.m. and we went to this like World War II looking hospital of like Call of Duty. And I'm like, oh man, I'm about to lose an organ. Like, there's no way I come out of this alive, or with all of my like. I guess I would. I lost my appendix, but yeah, that I not only did I have that surgery, but when I woke up, I just had a complete mental breakdown. Like I lost it emotionally, because it was just like everything that had pent up was all coming back, and I had some complications with the surgery. Luckily, I'm okay, but it really helped me to kind of reset and realign and change paths. But it was tough. It was tough. So yeah, I don't know if everyone goes through as much stress as I do. I think like it can be easier if you're willing to talk about it. But I think I had like ego and fear just too attached to what I was doing. But for you, talking about being lonely, and I'm curious also with you, how was it with a dad as an entrepreneur? Like, was that stressful? Did you feel it? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, it's a good question, and thank you for sharing that story. Yeah, for me it was. I mean, it was boom and bust growing up for sure. You had great years when Christmas was stacked and trips, and then you had other years when things weren't as good. So, but it also, I never had the dad that got on the train with the briefcase and the suit and the steady salary. So I got to see the ups and downs of entrepreneurship, and just got to see someone who had maximal control over what they did and how they work. Now that comes with some amazing freedoms, but also comes with some downsides when, you're a one man band, and if things aren't going right or going well, then you really feel that. So it definitely, I didn't know much else growing up, but now that I can look
Mm,
back on it, I think I learned a lot through seeing that, as an individual. So coming out of that experience, how
mm.
quickly did you get back to work? Did you take some time off? Like, what was your road to recovery after that, man? Because that's no joke.
Yeah, it was bad, and it didn't heal right. So I was kind of out of commission for a while. But I mean, frankly, like I had two similar experiences. I ended up in a hospital again and had a nervous breakdown. This was pre that one. And so like that was the second time that had happened. And after that time, I'm like, okay, because the first time that happened, I was like, I gotta make changes. Like I'm gonna start doing yoga. I'm gonna start like meditating, or like I'm gonna go to therapy. And I didn't really make changes for the long term. I think I did it for like 30 days and then just stopped. The second time I was like, okay. And the doctor said like, you're lucky to be alive on many different levels. So I was like, all right, I need to like think about this a little more. And yeah, I think within about 30 days started to really put change in place. What it definitely opened up for me was that I needed to figure out how to sell that business or exit that company. Just because I needed more time away than I probably could get still working in it. I was just like too attached. So over the next few months, we started to hire all these different roles that we'd like done as just me and my co-founder. And it turned out to be like, I can't remember, like 10 to 15 roles. It was like a ton of them, like VPs of every different department that we were basically like doing it all ourselves, which made the company stagnate. So when we started to do that, the company took off in growth even more. And at a certain point, truthfully, I wasn't really needed. And it was like a crazy, weird feeling. But yeah, we were able to, sell a business. I exited a little bit early in order to not have to stay on 4 more full years. My co-founder did stay on 4 more years after the actual exit. Um, so it definitely like was a catalyst to change in a good way,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it was rock bottom for sure.
Totally. Well, yeah. Again, thank you for sharing. I think those are the stories that people aren't going to get on Twitter and LinkedIn and talked about. So I appreciate you being real, because I think a lot of us, that stuff resonates more than, oh, look, I raised $10 million, or look at my $1 million ARR Stripe screenshot. Like, that's this real shit that people deal with that doesn't necessarily get talked about. So
Yeah.
unfounded, I think typically what people would say is, I wouldn't invest in a marketing agency because I've ran an agency, super high churn. Typically, obviously some agencies, but I'd say median, a lot of churn. Each customer requires a correlated unit of work to do, meaning it's not quite as scaled as SaaS where you can ship once and sell it to 10 people. Each customer typically needs more staff or more work hours to get the work done.
Yep.
And now that's not necessarily my belief, but I think that's what the common sentiment would be.
Yep.
So why invest in agencies?
I guess you do what you know best, right? And so like I've invested in tech. I was interested in SMB, but at the end of the day, agency is what I know how to do. Like we've built 2 8-figure a year agency models, right? And I've also advised a number of them. And at a certain point, you're like, okay, these playbooks seem to work. Like I think we can just implement these playbooks into other businesses. Um, and so I like them because in tech, if you invest in tech, like most of the time, you're not going to see a liquid return for quite some time, if at all. You're waiting till an IPO or something that is unlikely to happen anytime soon. So it's a lot riskier, in my opinion. The great thing about agency models is that they can cash flow pretty quickly. It doesn't need to be massive margins, but even small margins they can expand, and I think that they can get exciting. And so what I see most of the time with the ones that we're interested in investing in, there's a killer founder in a less crowded lane. I'm not looking at how to go create a general marketing agency. Like that would be very difficult to go compete. I'm usually looking at, do they have some sort of like niche that is their own lane, or like very few people are playing in it, where they're a good founder and they just need that blueprint and like advisor to help them get there. Because we can put money in, that's like not important really. The money really doesn't move the needle at all. It's really us coming in with our playbooks and advisory that's going to help them a lot more. The money is just like, it just puts a little bit of skin in the game at the end of the day. So far, it's proving to be a cool model. I think it's new. I only started this a year ago, a little over a year ago, and so I can see like the projections of what we're doing. In 3 to 5 years should be very exciting, but we'll see. So far, the early results are proving good with it. Although we did take one swing and we missed on one. I would say one of our swings did not play out how we hoped.
Can you talk about that?
A little bit. Can't go into too much specific, but what I'll say is that it's super important. Like I think most investors, when they're trying to take a bet on a company, it's less so about what they're selling. Like it's less so about the service or the product. It definitely needs to be more so about that founder. And it was a really attractive market for me, especially, where I was like, okay, this is a no-brainer one. Like we can definitely scale this, and it's a really sellable business as well. Overlooked some things on the founder side when we started to do due diligence, even after things were signed a little bit farther. There was just some financial stuff that was not disclosed, and major red flags in like how the founder operated versus how I would prefer to operate. And so we lost some money on that one. Not a lot, but enough to like be like, okay, we got to vet founders a little bit better going forward. And we get, truthfully, we do get like over 100 applications to invest in businesses or inquiries to invest a month. So we get a lot, and we're very selective about who we go with. That one was just in my town that I'm in, right opportunity, right time, I thought, and definitely should have done more due diligence on it.
Agencies, I want your expert take on this. I think right now, again, the common sentiment it would be RIP to your ghostwriting agency because ChatGPT is here. RIP to your outbound agency, with Clay and AI, you can replicate. Like, there's just a sentiment that AI basically negates a lot of common agencies. So, if I came to you and I was an aspiring entrepreneur, I had a couple years experience, I was capable, competent, um, I was a good candidate, right? Like I had a lot of the raw materials. What 1 to 3 agencies, or maybe there's one you're thinking about, like what would you say to that person about starting an agency in 2025 in terms of what they could focus on and how to build it?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think that AI is playing a part, and so human in the loop is going to be the most important for this. Like, I don't think agencies just go away, but I think that a lot of the crappy ones do because they can be replaced very easily. It's not about what the service is that you're providing; it's definitely about the results that you can deliver. And if you can deliver results, people will definitely pay for it. But if someone was going to start, I think that this is where people always get it wrong. They think about what product or service that they could go offer, when in reality they should just start with the customer base. Like, what niche do you want to focus on? Who is this specific person that you think you can go help and knock it out of the park for? What I define ICP, ideal customer profile, as is different than a lot of people do. Mine is, who do you think know that you can go hit a home run for, guaranteed, where they're going to leave you a 5-star review? It's not who do you want. Most people think ideal customer profile, it's, oh, I wish I had this great client that's going to pay me this much money. That's not it. Who it should be is the one that you know you can knock out of the park for, because that's going to guarantee a happy customer, which is going to guarantee reviews, which is going to guarantee case studies, which is going to guarantee results. And no one thinks about it this way. So I would start with a segment and be like, all right, who's this segment? Let me talk to them. What do they need? What would they pay for? What would they be excited about? And once you get enough of those conversations going, that's when you go build for them whatever they've asked for. Truthfully, that's how we did Tribe. I had over 100 conversations last year about what entrepreneurs were looking for. And when I kept talking about this concept, they're like, this is it. This is it. I would want this, this, and this. Like, I want it. Let me know when you're ready. And so when we launched the wait list, which I didn't even expect this would happen, we had 400, like 300 to 400 applications to the wait list on the first day. I was like, okay, crap. I need to go like staff up this company and go hire. And like, this is going to be a lot faster than I thought it was. But I started in that inverse way, and I hadn't done that before with a different business, truthfully. And I think back to my clothing business that didn't work. I just thought I was going to be the next Tom's. I never thought about who was actually going to buy it and like how I was going to like make their life better, or give them something they want. And I think most people just think, if you build it, they will come. That stupid quote from the movie, and in reality, it's like, they will come if you build it for them. Like, and you need to make sure that you're listening to what they want. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, every entrepreneur has, for every one win, they have 10 things that didn't work. And you look back on the things you started when you were younger, and sometimes you're surprised, like, oh, wow, that was actually a pretty good idea. And then other times you're like, obviously that would never work, but
Yeah.
hindsight's 2020. So I want to dive more into that, because, for the Workbench, people love actionable insights, tactics. Like, what are some of those ICPs or services that you think are interesting right now? And just as a comparison point, like, I think if you want to go be a ghostwriter for a LinkedIn ghostwriter for a venture backed SaaS founder, in my opinion, that's probably very crowded. I think that's like a
Yeah.
very attractive thing to do. There's a lot of money. I'd imagine you'd be fighting with 10 other providers to win that job. So
Yeah.
what are some ICPs and services that you hear about, maybe get pitched to you for investment, that have you really excited right now?
When I get pitched for investment, it's usually like they already have some proof that their lane is working. So that's a little bit different. But at the same time, like ICPs that are exciting me for sure right now, I come from California, I come from tech. So I see how crowded those markets are. I get excited about local markets. local cities, local markets, because most of the time in these local markets, there are businesses that have money. There's definitely businesses that have money. There's also investors in a lot of local cities. And if you can get to those people, they're a very interesting group to be able to work with. And the reason that local is interesting is just because as tech continues to boom, I just think we need some of these services like HVAC and plumbing and painting and restaurants and what, like, all of these things are going to continue to exist and probably be more important as like AI does replace some jobs. So if you can focus then on your local market, like, you shouldn't have that big of competition because you don't have players all over the country virtually competing against you. You have your local people, and if you can just be better at them at one thing, then you can figure that out. So that's exciting to me. But yeah, I mean, one of the ones we invested in or we're working with, they're called founder led, and they are doing like go to market strategies for venture backed early stage startups. Luckily, they had the right customers to begin with that were able to give them like proof that they know what they're doing, and then they just started crushing it for those. But it's an interesting niche because a lot of these venture-backed companies have money and budget, and if they're the right play, there's not a lot of people that are going and competing for that. If that have results that can do it at those price points. So I don't know. At the end of the day, it's like, where's the niche that they have the money and it's like not terribly crowded, at least.
When you think through investing in a company through for Unfounded, and then we can talk a little bit more about Tribe, but when you think about investing in a company, um, however much you can divulge, how do you think about the economics of that? Because the traditional
Yep.
VC path is you're right 1 out of 100 times, and that one time is a Facebook, and it makes up for all your other losses. And the way you get paid as a VC is when there's a liquidity event through an acquisition, through an IPO. For agencies, I could be uninformed. I know some agencies get bought. I read that book, Build to Sell, which I think is about
Yep.
building agencies. Super interesting. To me, the uneducated, there's not as much agency acquisition happening. So can you walk me through in some level of detail the economics of investing in these businesses?
Yeah. And the first thing I'll say about the agencies that I'm interested in, they might not start this way, but my goal
Yeah.
with them is to get them productized. Because if you can get them productized, then they do become sellable. Because it's more about the playbooks and hiring to backfill those playbooks than it is like doing custom work for someone. Um, but yeah, I mean, the economics of these deals, like, we're always taking minority stakes. Part of it is going to be equity in exchange for money, and the other part is in exchange for advisory that vests over time. Essentially, like, they're not going to be. We're not excited about them unless they can get to a point of seven-figure EBITDA within a few years. Like, if we think that we can help them get there, then interested. If we can't, then like it's probably just not worth the time, effort, and energy. Like, I don't want to put that much resource into something that can't get there, at least. And if you can get to that type of EBITDA, then these are sellable businesses at like somewhere between 5 and 8 times EBITDA. So like you can get to pretty meaningful exits for the founder and for us. Like, it's not a bad way to go if you can get closer to the $10 million exit.
Bringing it back to Tribe, I think that man, I'm so bullish on anything. I'm very bullish on anything pets. I'm bullish on anything community. I'm bullish on anything IRL. I mean, I am just
Yeah.
so many benefits. You and I would never get on a plane to do this conversation, but we're getting together and having a meaningful conversation. Amazing. At the same time, I'm so burnt out on Zoom and digital, and
Yeah.
any opportunity I can to get in person, I'm taking it. So, and I think we're more since COVID fractured than ever. So, in terms of Tribe, like, talk to me about the founder experience, and for people that are listening and are entrepreneurs and may want to join, like, what is Tribe about? How are entrepreneurs supporting each other? And yeah, just if you can dive into that, would love to hear.
Yeah. We wanted to create this to be the early to mid stage community for entrepreneurs. Like, there's some really cool ones out there. And I was even a part of one of these that an investor paid for me to be a part of. They're just expensive and they're tailored towards like high net worth individuals. And most of the
Hampton.
founders, yeah, and really cool. And yeah, Hampton, YPO, Chief, Vistage, like they're really cool and they serve different markets, but very expensive, like over $1,000 a month. over 10 grand a year for the most part. And most founders I know can't afford that. And they're still building, right? They're still like actively building. So we wanted to build it for those guys. The vibe and like the ethos of what we've built is really kind of like, it's just a very supportive, humble group of people that are ambitious at the same time. It's almost like we're at like this big backyard barbecue together, and we're having fun, and we're like talking shop, and we're enjoying life, but also like talking shop about how to be ambitious and grow. Like that's kind of the vibe of what we get within Tribe, and it's been really cool to see take place and grow. And so like groups are grouped together in pairs of like 6, and then they're paired with facilitators that have been there and done that have sold businesses, that have built businesses, and they meet once a month and get tactical and like, how do I grow? How do I hold myself accountable? What kind of advice do you guys have? And so what we've seen is that there is a need for this. There is a want for the digital side, but there's also, as you said, a major want for the in-person stuff as well. And so as we've scaled this, we've had a lot of like local meetups and workshops and retreats. The retreats have been awesome. But we're going to be starting to launch in-person chapters as well. So Dallas is our first one, coming out with that soon. Austin will be soon after. We got a couple North Carolina cities, LA, New York. So got a few different places that will be launching local chapters, and we're looking at where we have enough members already to be able to do that. So we'll see how it plays out. But the thought with those is like, they're going to get together and get tactical, but they're also going to have fun. So every other month, they're either going to go golf, or they're going to go like to cool dinners, or they're just going to go do fun stuff that allows them to bond, talk shop, and like have a good time with a group of friends. The other thing that happens with these groups is just like tons of networking. I never quite understood how important networking would be, but like everyone's doing business with each other. Everyone's referring each other business, not in a solicitation way where it's like, hey, sign up with my stuff. It's just like when you get to know people, they'll often send you business. And so that's just happening organically, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah. Love it. Love it. I think one of my big realizations, I started in sales as an SDR. So a lot of it was about, can I have your time to take a meeting? And that's how the whole system is built. That's how you're compensated. It's your quota. But the more I'm realizing now that I'm an entrepreneur and I represent myself, for me, it's like, if I just don't stop giving, I'll eventually get what I want. And so like if I ever feel and like I can feel it emotionally, like if I'm trying to pitch too much, or I'm just soliciting, or I'm just trying to do something that's self-serving, I can feel it. Where I just realize if I just do good things that support other people, it's kind of selfish, but then inevitably it comes back around. So
Totally.
I think that sounds like a great vibe there. Cool, man. So in terms of the two businesses, like you've been through this, you've seen this movie before, how are you thinking about the next couple years for Unfounded and Tribe, and like where you want to take these two businesses?
Yeah, I mean, Unfounded at the high level is just investing in and advising companies, and so we'll see how big that gets. Like that, the plan is for that one to always own somewhere around 5 to 10 businesses, and hopefully help a couple of them exit along the way. We'll find out how that plays out, but it shouldn't be. It shouldn't take my full entire time. We pull in a lot of resources too, like lawyers and accountants and graphic designers and other things to go help with implementation into these businesses. Tribe, though, has ended up being a lot more of my time than I thought it would be. I have plans to build out a management and leadership team with it. I definitely want to continue to be a big part of this. But yeah, as we grow it, like we now have 13 facilitators. We have like 4 part-time staff. We have 1 full-time. We have 4 investors. Like it's kind of a big team that's starting to grow out, and we're about to add in some other players too. So the goal with that is to continue to do that. Like I need to get myself out of the weeds and continue to empower and build out this team, because when we can do that, it'll grow. And the more that I just stay doing everything, it won't be there. And luckily I've gotten out of the weeds for the most part, but there's still a little more to be had. So we'll see.
Cool. Trenton, anything we didn't cover today that you want to talk about or kind of share with the audience?
No, I mean, it's fun. It's fun to talk shop. I would love to hear for you real fast on what you're building.
Yeah.
Ultimately, like, why did you choose to start it? And then like, where do you think this market's going? Because you're in the AI space, you're in the local business space. You're competing with some of these like agencies in a much different way. Like why'd you choose to start it, and where do you think it's going?
Yeah, a little bonus round for the listeners. I don't really talk about myself that much on here, so this will be good for people that want to know. Yeah, so I think for us, the inspiration came out of doing something else. And so what I mean by that is we did It's a long story, but I'll just summarize it as we started an app for Jobber, which is one of the most popular home services CRMs that essentially was email and SMS marketing on steroids. We did that for about a year, but just being tied to one CRM was very difficult insofar as Jobber was shipping our roadmap. We were limited to Jobber as our TAM, maybe 200,000 users. You can do the platform play if you're going to be built on a HubSpot or a Salesforce or some other massive, platform, but Jobber is just not that big. And so we, in December, sat down with my co-founder and we're like, okay, ToolDesk, the old company, is working. It's making money, not huge bucks, but doing fine. We have some paying customers, but like, is this the long-term play? We loved home services. We love working with local business owners. Just from a personal standpoint, I think I'm bullish on the industry. I do think these are going to be some of the last businesses, if ever, to be affected by things like AI. I think we're seeing a big resurgence in the trade. So just very bullish on local business. But being just a Jobber app is very limiting. So we kind of put our heads together and looked at some of the mechanisms we were building through ToolDesk. And that's when we landed on Lead Truffle, which was eventually just saying, hey, the top of the funnel is so important for these businesses, and there's this new stuff called AI that can help with a lot of the top of the funnel, and specifically helping them convert website visitors and missed calls because the phone's so important, into book jobs. So a lot of it just came out of our experience from building the previous company, and we knew we wanted to do something that was CRM agnostic. If you have a phone and a website, you can use our software. And to your earlier point, which really resonated with me, is like, can we hit a home run easily for these people? And like, if you want to be the Jobber killer, that's fucking hard to hit a home run with someone. You're going to shift their entire CRM and all of their inventory. And it's just like, go do it if you can. And you want to, that's just hard to get a win
Yeah.
with. So we said, okay, can we put a little widget on their website? They don't need to edit the website. They copy a code snippet. Um, Highly optimized custom software, no go, high level, so we can change things as we see fit. It captures the phone number. We set up all the SMS compliance. That stuff's a headache, and so we do all of that. We do that all right. And then basically, if you come to a home services website and you need your TV mounted, sure, you can call the business, like, go for it. And I think if the person on the other end can pick up a CSR owner operator, that's great. We don't want to replace that. But a lot of people don't want to pick up the call or pick up the phone. They're busy. So like, just put your phone number in here and you'll get an answer immediately. And like, we felt that we could build that and make it work, and then apply that same mechanism to missed calls. So a lot of it was, yeah, like you said, just can we get a really, not really easy, but like a relatively approachable win for these businesses, which we've proven. And now it's just a matter of scaling it.
Heck yeah. Yeah. Be curious. Are you in specific cities or is it all over the place right now?
So, we're a software business. So we are, it doesn't matter where you are, you can use the software, but I'll say being in Austin, um, has been helpful. We've signed up some big companies here who I definitely won them as customers because I went and met with them in person.
Yeah. There you go.
So
So much
there's an
power to it.
element to that. Yeah.
It makes sense, actually. I think that like you're focused on these local markets and it actually makes sense to do it in a local way if you can.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And we're trying to do more with meetups and looking at billboards and looking at going in person when we can. So definitely trying to do that.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah. Well, Trenton, where can the people find you? Whether it's Tribe, Unfounded, your personal socials, anyone
Yeah.
that's listening that wants to check you out, where can they find you?
Probably most active on X, Trent J. Hughes. Um, yeah, Tribe is tribehq.co too. Either one.
Cool. Well, Trenton, we appreciate you coming on. Hope you have a great rest of your week.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Thanks.